Welcome, Seeker.
Life is never still. It sways like the pendulum of an ancient clock, moving from one extreme to another, joy and sorrow, expansion and contraction, chaos and order. If you observe closely, you'll notice a hidden pattern beneath all things, a pulse that governs not only the stars above, but also the emotions within your heart. This pulse is what the Hermetic philosophers called the principle of rhythm, a secret law of existence that whispers, nothing rests, everything moves, and all swings between opposites. To ignore it is to be tossed about like a leaf in the wind. To master it is to ride the waves of life with poise, grace, and power. Think of the tides. The ocean does not resist its ebb and flow, yet within its rhythm lies the power to carve mountains, shape coastlines, and nurture life. Or think of the seasons: spring's awakening, summer's fullness, autumn's fading, and winter's stillness. Each has its place, each is necessary, each returns again in its time. But here is the mystery. Just as these rhythms shape the cosmos, so too do they shape the hidden corridors of our minds and souls. When you feel yourself drowning in anxiety, overwhelmed by failure, or lost in darkness, what you are truly experiencing is the downward swing of the universal pendulum. And yet, the law assures us what falls must rise again. This is not mere optimism, it is a cosmic law. The ancients believed that, by aligning ourselves with rhythm, we could transform despair into wisdom, defeat into renewal, and chaos into calm. In this journey, we will uncover the ancient roots of the principle of rhythm, trace its wisdom through forgotten philosophies, and reveal how it operates in your daily life in ways you may have never seen before. More importantly, we will learn how to harness this law to remain steady when life plunges us downward, and to rise gracefully when the tides of fortune return. Stay with me, for once you see the rhythm in all things, you will never be caught in the storm in quite the same way again. The principle of rhythm finds its clearest voice in the Hermetic teachings, preserved within the mysterious text known as the Kybalion. Written in the early 20th century, but echoing wisdom far older, it reveals the ancient doctrines of Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary sage said to be both god and man, a fusion of Greek Hermes and Egyptian Thoth. Hermes was revered as the keeper of hidden laws, and among these, rhythm was central. Hermeticism describes rhythm as the pendulum swing that touches all things. Whenever something rises too far in one direction, a counterbalance will inevitably pull it back. The higher the swing, the deeper the return. This law was not seen as punishment, but as balance, an invisible order ensuring that nothing escapes the dance of polarity. Yet the idea of rhythm as a cosmic principle is far older than Hermetic writings. In ancient Egypt, the priests spoke of Ma'at, the balance and order that holds the universe together. In Vedic India, sages saw it as Ethia, the rhythm of creation itself, mirrored in breath, heartbeat, and the cycles of nature. The Taoists of China observed the eternal rise and fall of yin and yang, where life flows like water, always in motion, always returning to its source. Even in the philosophies of Greece, rhythm was embedded in their understanding of life. Heraclitus declared that all things flow, pointing to the constant flux and tension between opposites. The Stoics, too, embraced rhythm, urging humanity to accept the cycles of fortune with equanimity, knowing that no state, whether bliss or despair, remains forever. But here lies the hidden esoteric meaning. Rhythm is not just a law of nature, it is a law of consciousness. The ancients taught that human emotions, thoughts, and even spiritual states are governed by this cosmic tide. Ecstasy and despair, victory and defeat, enlightenment and ignorance, none are permanent. They move in cycles, just as surely as the moon waxes and wanes. Why then has this knowledge been forgotten? Perhaps because modern life craves permanence, endless growth, constant happiness, uninterrupted success. Yet in clinging to one half of the rhythm, we blind ourselves to the other, and in doing so, we suffer more when the pendulum inevitably swings back. To the ancients, wisdom meant not resisting rhythm, but learning to ride it. They saw the sage as one who, though caught in the currents of life, remained anchored, like the still point around which the pendulum swings. This hidden teaching survived in fragments, in Hermetic scrolls, in whispered Taoist practices, in the silent observation of monks who watched their own minds rise and fall like waves. And now, as the world grows restless once more, this ancient law returns, offering us a way to find calm in the chaos, balance in the extremes, and mastery over the tides that carry us. Imagine a pendulum suspended in stillness. The moment it is set into motion, it swings to one side, and then inevitably it arcs back in the opposite direction. This is the image Hermeticism gives us for the principle of rhythm. The universe itself is this pendulum, and everything, every cycle, every rise, every fall moves according to its swing. The Hermetic masters taught, everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. This law reveals that nothing in existence is static. Planets orbit their suns, empires rise and collapse, seasons come and go, and even the human spirit soars to heights of inspiration, only to sink again into valleys of doubt. Life is not a straight line, but a wave pulsing, breathing, expanding and contracting. When we look deeply, we can see rhythm everywhere. In the natural world, day gives way to night, summer to winter, ebb to flow. In our own bodies, the rhythm is even closer. Heartbeat, breath, sleep cycles, the fluctuations of energy and emotion. You are not apart from rhythm. You are rhythm incarnate. This principle also explains the swings of human fortune. Times of prosperity are often followed by times of struggle, just as joy may be shadowed by sorrow. But the Hermeticists did not see this as misfortune. Instead, they saw it as a guarantee. No matter how deep the descent, the pendulum must rise again. No darkness is eternal, no loss permanent. To know this is to hold an inner light when shadows fall. The paradox, however, is that while rhythm governs all things, the sage is not enslaved by it. Just as a sailor cannot stop the tides, but can learn to ride them, so too can we transcend the unconscious pull of the pendulum. This is not done by resisting life's swings, but by understanding them and aligning ourselves with the center point from which the pendulum moves. Here lies the Hermetic secret. Awareness is mastery. Those who remain unconscious are dragged by the swing of rhythmic static when the pendulum rises, broken when it falls. But those who awaken can observe the swing without losing themselves in it. They learn to anticipate the return, to moderate their extremes, and to anchor their minds in the still point at the center. Think of it this way. The farther we allow ourselves to be carried into extreme elation, the harder the return to sorrow feels. The deeper we fall into despair, the more violent the climb back to joy can be. The Hermeticists taught the art of equilibrium. By holding a steady center, one lessens the violent pull of the swing. To remain calm in victory and hopeful in defeat, this is the path of mastery. This is why the principle of rhythm transcends being merely a description of nature and becomes a practical key for inner transformation. It tells us not only why we rise and fall, but also how to navigate those movements without being shattered by them. And so, the question becomes, how do we live with rhythm consciously? How do we anchor ourselves in the still point while the pendulum swings? Before we dive deeper into this mystery, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you noticed this rhythm in your own life, in your emotions or fortunes? You'll find the more you reflect on it, the more visible it becomes. To understand the principle of rhythm more deeply, we must see it not only in the movements of life, but also in the architecture of the cosmos itself. Ancient mystics saw rhythm as the very pulse of creation. The universe is not a static machine. It is alive, breathing in patterns of expansion and contraction. Plotinus, the great Neoplatonist, described reality as an eternal emanation from the One, a rhythmic outpouring and return. The Upanishads spoke of Brahman's breath, a cosmic inhalation and exhalation that births and dissolves worlds. Even modern science echoes these ancient whispers. The expansion and contraction of galaxies, the oscillations of quantum fields, the cycles of stars and atoms. Rhythm is not just poetry, it is physics. Yet, within these vast movements lies a subtle truth. Rhythm governs not only the outer universe, but also the inner one. Our thoughts rise and fall, our moods expand and contract, our spiritual lives surge forward and retreat into silence. Many mistake these retreats for failure, but Hermetic wisdom teaches otherwise. Every decline is the preparation for ascent. Every silence prepares the ground for a new song. But why does rhythm bind us? The Hermeticists explained that all polarity seeks balance. High and low, light and shadow, expansion and contraction. These are not opposites in conflict, but partners in a dance. To cling to one side and resist the other is to suffer. To flow with both is to transcend. Here we uncover the mystery of compensation. The pendulum swing to the right is equal to the swing to the left. If we give ourselves to reckless ecstasy, the return into sorrow will be equally heavy. If we fall too deeply into despair, the return to joy may be violent and disorienting. The sage, however, learns the art of neutralization, standing in the middle, tempering extremes, softening the recoil. This is why Hermetic masters appeared calm even in triumph and serene even in loss. Their wisdom was not cold detachment, but alignment with rhythm. They did not deny emotion, but they refused to be ruled by it. In this they found true freedom, not freedom from rhythm, but freedom within rhythm. Yet the greatest secret lies beyond balance. When one learns to watch the swing of the pendulum without clinging, without resisting, a doorway opens to the timeless center. At that center, the pendulum may swing, but the self remains unmoved. This is the still point the eternal now, where one touches eternity in the midst of change. For many, this sounds mystical, perhaps unreachable, but the Hermeticists insisted it was practical, attainable. They taught that anyone who observes, reflects, and practices alignment with rhythm can enter this state of inner freedom. And so, we return to the essential question. Will you live as one pulled endlessly by life's tides, rising and falling without awareness? Or will you awaken to the rhythm, learn its secrets, and find your center within the eternal dance? If the principle of rhythm governs both the cosmos and the human soul, then our task is not to resist its swing, but to learn how to ride it with wisdom. The ancients called this neutralization, the art of finding balance in motion, stability in change. One of the simplest ways to begin is through awareness. Notice your inner pendulum. When joy rises, observe it fully without clinging. When sorrow descends, witness it without resistance. The moment you recognize that moods are waves rather than permanent truths, you gain freedom. You are not the swing itself. You are the witness of the swing. A powerful practice is rhythmic breathing. Ancient yogis and Hermetic practitioners alike used the breath as a mirror of cosmic balance. Inhale deeply, pause, exhale slowly, pause again. This circular rhythm reminds the body and mind that all movements contain both rise and fall. By practicing this, you retrain your nervous system to remain calm when the pendulum dips. Journaling is another tool. Record your highs and lows, not as judgments, but as patterns. Over time, you will see how predictable the swing can be. With this knowledge, you stop being surprised by downturns. Instead, you anticipate them, preparing with patience and grace. When facing anxiety, remember the principle. No state is permanent. Anxiety, like all emotions, has its opposite calm. To neutralize anxiety, gently shift focus toward practices that invite the counterpole. Slow breathing, grounding walks in nature, or meditation on the heart center can bring the pendulum toward stillness. Similarly, when caught in the heat of anger, recall that its counterpart is peace. By consciously invoking peace through silence, prayer, or visualization, you ease the recoil of the pendulum. On a higher level, meditation on rhythm itself can lead to profound insights. Visualize a pendulum swinging before you. Watch it move without trying to stop it. Then imagine yourself at the still center, unmoved by the arc. This symbolic exercise strengthens the mind's ability to remain balanced even when life's swings grow wild. But perhaps the greatest application lies in acceptance. When you recognize that every rise carries the seed of fall, and every fall conceals the promise of rise, fear begins to dissolve. You no longer cling desperately to pleasure, nor despair endlessly in pain. You live with a quiet trust in rhythm's eternal return. And so, the secret is not to escape the swing, but to align with it, to learn from it, to dance with it. In this dance, you discover the timeless truth. Balance is not found by clinging to the peaks, but by resting in the eternal center. The principle of rhythm whispers a secret that most overlook, that life is never still, but always flowing, always swinging, always becoming. To deny this is to suffer. To embrace it is to awaken. Think of the ocean. The waves do not resist their rise or fall. They simply follow the rhythm of the tide, born of the moon's pull. We, too, are subject to tides emotional, spiritual, cosmic. The difference lies in how we respond. Do we thrash against the undertow, or do we float, trusting the sea will lift us once more? When you look back at your own life, you will see it written in rhythms. Moments of joy and heartbreak, success and failure, light and darkness. Yet through it all, you endured. The pendulum swung, but you remained. This is the true gift of Hermetic wisdom, to remind us that balance is not about avoiding the swing, but about finding the eternal axis within. To live with rhythm is to live with grace, strength, and faith in life's hidden order. And so, as you step forward from this reflection, remember, every high is a teacher, every low is an initiation, and the center is your sanctuary. The pendulum may swing, but you are not the pendulum. You are the stillness it moves around. If these teachings spoke to you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and join the conversation in the comments. How has rhythm revealed itself in your life? Your voice is part of the collective wisdom we are weaving together.